What is up there, SEO pros? Welcome back to part 2 of the SEO Complete Guide. Today we'll be covering local SEO, and if you haven't seen part 1, make sure you head to the description of this video and check out part 1 where we cover the basics to SEO. Previously, what we talked about in part 1 was the top ranking factors on Google and Google's core algorithms, where SEO is today, the difference between white hat SEO and black hat SEO, SEO acronyms, where to start if you're brand new, and learning resources for that, different SEO tools, and what's to be expected next, which is today, which is covering local SEO. We're going to be covering a lot more besides local SEO in the near future, but I thought it would be better to start with local SEO because generally when you're doing local SEO, it's a little bit easier. So today what we're going to be covering is the different local SEO ranking factors, Google My Business Optimization, competitor research, URL structure, local schema markup, attracting local clients, review generation, local SEO audits, citation building, and more. I say and more because generally more stuff comes up as I talk about this stuff, and this is just a general layout. Now, if you haven't hit the subscribe button or the like button on these videos as you watch them, and you are joining me at a later time, please make sure you do that. Mainly because if you do end up subscribing, you will see more videos like the one you're about to watch. Now, what we do with these videos is I stream them. They become edited later in the future, and then we re-upload them. And by we, I mean the person who helps me edit the videos, because I don't like editing videos. Not that you really need to know that. But what I will say is if you also leave a like, it will make me very happy. So anyways, yeah, last thing I'm going to mention before we dive into this is that we do have a a White Hat SEO network that you can go ahead and join. It is a Facebook group. The link will be in the description as well. So you can go ahead and request to join that. Oh, and one more thing. These videos are live streamed. So if you do end up watching them, great, leave a comment and let me know what you think. Ask questions, whatever you would like. If you're watching this in the future, do the same thing, and I will try to get back to the questions as soon as possible. Also, if you do end up wanting to ask a question, or if you want to ask a question and you don't get an answer on YouTube, it's a little bit easier to get a hold of me on Facebook if you tag me in the Facebook post. I get a lot of comments on YouTube, so it's hard to answer a lot of them as frequently as I would like to. So, anyways, put that little Facebook group link in there. So let's start going over the local SEO ranking factors. But before we do, let me tell you a little bit about what I've done with local SEO. So I started out originally ranking websites locally, and then I moved to national websites and ranking my website, stuff like that, after I got good at local. Now, I prefer local. I think it's more fun. I think it's easier, and I think there's more opportunity locally because obviously you're not competing with national client or national businesses. So if you're competing locally, it's usually a little bit easier unless you're living in very large competitive areas like San Francisco or Los Angeles, places like that. But like a little town like where I live, Santa Barbara, it's a little bit easier to be able to rank sites. So I'm going to show you a couple of sites I was able to rank here just so you can have an idea. So one of the sites was this SEO company. It was a course I actually made called SEO or Authority Nuke. The course was called Local SEO Course, and if you want to check that out, it's going to be on my website, and I'll leave a link for that in the description. But either way, I was able to rank this site locally without any links, link building, just citation building, and was able to do it under 2 months with a brand new domain. Unfortunately, it's not showing up for some reason on the maps. It fluctuates depending on where I'm actually searching from my house. I guess I'm closer to this business than I am to this business, so it's showing it higher. Proximity is one of the large ranking factors on Google at the moment, and we will talk about, like I said, the different ranking factors locally, which ones matter the most. So I love how I just clicked the map open, came back, and now it's number 2. So it is kind of frustrating sometimes when you are looking to look at your local rankings, but generally organic listings or organic rankings are a little bit more consistent. iPhone repair, I was able to rank this business. I used to do iPhone repair when I first left the SEO company I was working at. And I ranked that, wound up selling the business for about $3,000. Some people call this rank and bank. Some people call it rank and rent if you're going to be actually renting out the business, which is how I started out with that business after I started getting more into SEO. We won't be covering so much how to do rank and rent, but I will be talking a little bit about the concepts around that. Next, we have computer repair. I also had a computer repair company, which you can see is ranking here. And let me just tell you, this is a service area here. This is a service area here. They're not physical locations. So this one actually is, but the other two, I believe, are still service. Okay, so that one got changed. This is a service area, but they all started out as service areas, I believe. Meaning that it's harder to rank a service area than it is to rank a physical location. And the reason for that is because when Google can see that there's an actual location there, generally you can rank the location easier because it seems more real. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So here we go. Computer repair location, it's ranking on the first page. All of these different companies are ranking on the first page. This moving company, I did this for a moving company, ranking on the first page. So all of these businesses, obviously, were not ranking on the first page before we started. And a lot of this stuff I have documented. And there's tons of other, local listings I could show you that are ranking that I've done SEO on. But really, it's just to give you a little bit of information that, look, I know how to rank this stuff. I want to show you how to do it in a way that you're not going to be breaking Google's guidelines, and in a way that you can start selling the service to clients. We got Hydra, what's good, man? Darren, what's up? Cool. So first of all, let's talk about the Google My Business ranking factors, and then we'll talk about the local organic ranking factors. So obviously, the local organic ranking factors can be very similar, but let's obviously, like I said, talk about the Google My Business ones first. So let's talk about the iPhone repair. So one of the biggest ranking factors in my opinion, so these are all my opinions. Some people will say that the ranking factors are a lot different depending on who you ask, but in my opinion, the top ranking factors, I'll just write these down. So number one, we have, hold on, let me make this a little bit bigger. Number one, we have reviews. Well, actually, sorry. Category. Because obviously, if you don't have the right category, it's going to be a lot harder to rank it. Say, for instance, you were trying to rank an iPhone repair shop, but it says massage service. It's probably going to be very hard to rank that. It's going to look really weird. So category is a huge one. Making sure that you are going for the right categories. And the way you do this is you find what other people are ranking for in your niche on the map. So if it says electronic repair shop, obviously you shouldn't try to go for, computer repair service, because based on what Google's looking for or what people are looking for, it's around an electronic repair shop. Because if we remember how things rank, just in general, they rank based on what all is already ranking. So you don't want to go and try to reinvent the wheel, try to reinvent the user intent if that's not what people are looking for. So category is huge. Keywords are unfortunately a big ranking factor. I don't know if it's number 2, but if you have the keywords in your titles of the business, it's easier to rank that location. Now, this is something you want to be really careful of. I had somebody take one of my courses, and I said for the Authority Nuke site that I'm going to brand this as iPhone repair, or sorry, as SEO. So when you look up SEO Santa Barbara, you can see I put SEO Santa Barbara Authority Nuke. And their argument was that's not actually the business name. The business name is just Authority Nuke. However, this isn't an actual registered business. It's just a website that I happen to brand as SEO Santa Barbara. Now, if that's consistent with what I'm putting across the site, and I brand the site as the keywords, I can't really get in trouble for that. Now, if Google's going to ask me for my actual LLC, I'm not going to be able to give them anything. So I don't really know what to tell that person. And whether or not that's black hat or not, of course, there's a very large gray area there. But I do know that that's a ranking factor, which is why one of the reasons why I was able to rank this site so easily. It's because I branded it as that keyword. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. So either way, keywords and the title tags is helpful. It's not necessary. There's tons of websites ranking without having keywords in the title tags. Now, number 3 is, in my opinion, reviews. So if you have 5-star reviews and you want to also make sure you respond to those, because apparently you don't get the huge benefit unless you respond to them, which I don't really believe. I think that you will get a benefit no matter what. But get reviews, because obviously the more reviews you get, it's going to entice more people to click on your listing, not click on your competitors. And then also Google obviously likes to see businesses with a ton of reviews. So I'm also going to be talking about how to get more reviews. I've been able to actually become the highest rated, or people get mad when I say this, the SEO with the most 5-star reviews currently on Google for a local business. So if you type in, Chase Reiner, you'll see I have 262 5-star reviews. Now, there might be somebody with more than that. I haven't found them yet. So, that's what I say. But the way I did this is really you can replicate this in pretty much any niche. And I've replicated it with other niches as well. And it works really well. So, to be able to get that many reviews for a local location, say I was just targeting Santa Barbara with that, I would probably be able to rank with just that alone, having 262 reviews. So reviews, huge ranking factor. Also helps with conversions, helps with a ton of stuff, right? You can put it on pages. You can mark up your pages with review markup. A bunch of cool stuff you can do. So anyways, so category, keywords, reviews, citations, or sorry, we won't say that. We'll say proximity. So as I said in the beginning, the closer you are, or the closer the searcher is to the location, the higher chance that that location is going to be ranking higher. Mainly because when people look for something, they want to be able to find something that's near them. So proximity is huge, or really important. Physical location is important, right? Sorry, let's make sure I leave a note there. Physical location versus service area. Now, some people, ask me all the time, is it absolutely necessary to have a physical location? Will I not be able to rank with a service area? And no, you can rank with service areas, and it also depends on the intent, right? If somebody's looking for a restaurant and that's set as a service area, it's probably not going to rank as well because they're looking to go into a location. Now, if it's a catering company and it's a service area, might make more sense because most people who order catering don't actually go to that building. So at the end of the day, like I said, it is helpful to have the physical location, but it's not necessary. The other thing is when you have a physical location, it's easier to build citations. So what are citations? They are also another ranking factor. Basically, anytime you can get the name of your business mentioned, the address of your business mentioned, the phone number of your business mentioned, or the website of your business mentioned on the internet, Google takes your website and your location a little bit more seriously. So if we look at, say, for instance, this location, and say it was an actual physical, we'll look at the iPhone repair. And we look for, say, for instance, this location right here. We're hoping that all around Google, this location is going to be mentioned. Now you can see it has some overlap with another location. So to better create citation signals, you would actually probably add some sort of modifier in there, like 117 State Street, Suite 13. Now if we look at that, and that was the actual location, less businesses would have that mentioned. If you also want to see, what's mentioning the website or the address, you could use certain modifiers like do minus site colon iPhone repair Santa Barbara, and then do the location. So you could do boom, 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 and then it would take anything from that website and then just show you anything that has this mentioned in the results. In terms of building citations, I don't recommend you do it yourself because it takes a really long time. I just hire somebody to do it for me, and I'll give you guys the link to that person later on. But either way, citations, the number of citations is important, and also the consistency of those citations is also very important. If you have a ton of different locations mentioning your name, address, phone number, and website, and they're all different or somewhat have some variations in those name, address, phone number, website. Say for instance you had one location mentioning iPhone repair Santa Barbara and the address was different, and then you had another one mentioning the same business name but has a different phone number, and then one has a different website, and then Google sees this stuff, right? It's going to be confused and be like, well, which one is the right location? So Google doesn't just look for the location you put on Google, especially if you have multiple locations, on Google itself. That's going to be really confusing for Google, and definitely will be likely to get those locations will be likely to get filtered out. So consistency and also the number of citations is important. In terms of other, ranking factors, you could consider on-page signals. So for instance, the website mentioning similar info as the business or as the Google My Business page. That's said to be a ranking factor. Some people will argue that it's not. Another one could be schema markup, like local business markup. People argue that that's a ranking factor. People argue that social signals are a ranking factor, whatever else. But in my opinion, the top ranking factors are category, keywords, reviews, proximity, physical location versus service area, but this is less of a ranking factor, and citations. This other stuff is important. We will be covering that, but whether or not it's direct ranking factors, I don't know. Cool. Although if you were to hear my opinion, I would say that all of these are ranking factors for sure. Just some less than others. So we will put that in the notes. If you want to read those later, you can go ahead and do that. So Google My Business Optimization, let's put that in there. So for organic, what do we have? We have, of course, oh, sorry, I forgot to mention, links are a ranking signal in here. I just don't do link building. So it's still a ranking factor, but if you want to go out and build links, I'm not the guy to teach you that. I will show you how to do competitor analysis though. So before I continue, let me look at some of the comments. We got Hydra. Oh, I already read that. David, how much capital goes into ranking a business locally? Depends on the competition. Could be, something that you could rank in literally a day. Bailey'sRepair.com is one of my sites I'm working on for local SEO. Check it out. Call me out on any pointers. So I'm not going to be doing audits right now, but at some point I will be doing those. No matter what I do, I cannot accept all for this location for Google updates to go away. It just says saved. So I'd probably contact the Google My Business support if I were you. So you call AdWords and then you look for the Google My Business extension. Hi Chase, hi folks. What's up, man? Woohoo. What number of citations do you recommend? I recommend the number of citations that's consistent with your competition. So there's a way you can check. We use Whitespark. We'll talk about that in a little bit. What's up, Bib Hash? Vahi says, what tool do you use to use schema markup? Yoast Premium? No. So we'll talk about that too. Okay. So organic. So of course, links as well. If you want to get into that, I'm going to just make that over here. So of course, for organic, very similar to national, you're going to look at on-page signals. Well, first of all, content. Can't rank anything if you don't have content, usually. Content, on-page signals. We have internal link building. I do that type of link building. Service areas, or well, that's related to content, but we'll just say services, products, related locations, hyper relevant data to area and topic, which is also related to national SEO, media, page speed. By media, I mean images, video, etc. Page speed, which is, pretty much national to all this stuff. I mean, it's very similar, right? All this stuff that you're going to be doing for local, you're going to also be doing for national. So NAP as well. I don't know what just happened. NAP and hours. schema, and whatever else. So I always refer to this one website as a great template. It's a computer repair site, but they really have spectacular SEO. So what we're going to look at here is kind of like, why what they're doing is so impressive. So of course there's different types of ranking signals or ranking factors. Title tags are obviously going to be more important than probably a alt tag, but it also depends on, what the ranking factors are for that given query. But if we look at, what these people are doing here, you can apply it to pretty much any local site. So one of the things that we're going to look at first is the basics. So let's look at sort of how this site's laid out. What we're going to do is we're just going to do a control copy, bring up Screaming Frog. And if you don't have Screaming Frog, it's a free software you can get for crawling websites up to 500 URLs. I highly recommend it if you're just getting into SEO or if you haven't used it yet. So what you're going to do is just take a website URL like this one, plug it in, press start. We're just going to let that crawl for a second. Renej says, does business listings also help in rank for local SEO? Business listings. Do you mean citations? You got to be a little bit more specific with that question. Cool. So what we're going to do is going to press this little select type of view table and select the tree. And what this will do is it's going to show us sort of their architecture here, their site architecture. So first of all, when we look at a website, we want to see a clean architecture no matter what, whether it's local, whether it's national, doesn't matter. If the site architecture doesn't make sense, and I'm going to tell you what that means in a second, then we need to fix that. That should be one of our priorities, because why are we going to do SEO for a website if not even the basics are covered? Now, what are some of the SEO basics? As we talked about in part 1, having a site architecture that makes sense, page speed optimization, having basic info filled out, like for your main pages, like title tag, meta description, stuff like that. Making sure that there's no broken links or weird redirects. And then going in and doing more, like if you're doing schema markup before that stuff, you're going to run into unhappy clients very quickly because you're fixing the things that are less important than if you were to be doing the things that are more important, which is, making a functionable website, focusing on UX over user intent in the very beginning. Now you want to focus on both, right? But focus on the UX that matters in the very beginning to everybody versus just your specific audience. Now, if you can keep both in mind at the same time, it's very, that will be helpful, but I hope that makes sense. So either way, we have in here a very clear architecture. Now, if we, get rid of some of this stuff, all we have to do is just filter by HTML. Now we can see just basically all the HTML on the website versus all of the extra stuff like jQuery, stuff like that we don't need to know about, which, just to let you guys know, I know really very little about programming. I also know very little about CSS. I know basic HTML. So if you are looking to do SEO and you don't know this stuff, don't worry. I've been able to rank tons of sites without knowing a bunch of technical programming and stuff like that. So that being said, first of all, we have the home page. We can see that's HTTPS, which is great. If we look at the different parts of the website, we have the sitemap, which is important, the blog, as well as the paginated pages, which we don't know if it's being indexed or not. We're going to be covering more of the technical architecture stuff like that when we actually do our SEO audits, which will be in a later episode. But overall, we can see all the different computer services. Now, this is one of the things that you're going to see very similar to pretty much any local website. You look at a massage business, if you look at a nail salon, all of them do different things for their services. And people are generally looking for these different things. So if somebody's looking up computer repair, they're generally looking up more specific types. They're looking for iPhone repair, they're looking for Mac repair, they're looking for laptop repair. So if you just have all of that on one page, generally it's going to be harder to rank that one page than if you were to try to rank a bunch of individual pages that are hyper specific to what people are trying to go for. So it's really important to do keyword research and competitor research before you, go and try to optimize a website, because if you're not even having the right content for that website, what's the point in trying to optimize it if you don't have the right stuff? So one of the biggest ranking factors, like I said, for any site is content. So if you can't figure out whether or not this site has all the content it needs, then you need to go back to step 1 of basic SEO and learn about how to actually figure out whether or not the site is providing what people are actually looking for. So either way, when you do an audit, it's going to be hard to identify whether or not, people have all the right content. So generally when I do an audit for people, I will say, by the way, we need to do keyword research as part of your first package so we can keyword map all of the different things we need in order to rank your site. Another important part about having this different pieces of content is that you can internally link this content to other pieces of content. So if computer service is mentioning, mobile computer repair, virus removal, PC repair, stuff like that, it should make sense that if people are going to hit a computer service page, that they can click on these different things to find out about them. Google sort of looks at it the same way. It crawls the first page, sees the internal links to these other pages, and then passes PageRank to these other pages, or page influence, whatever you want to call it. Other things that this website includes, like a privacy policy, contact page, about page, so on and so on. And then also the related location pages. So we'll talk about those in a second, but if we scroll over, we can see the type of content, which we don't want to worry about. One of the other things we want to look at is the status codes, whether or not there's 301s. If there are, very simple plugins you can use on WordPress, like Broken Link Checker. We will talk about that later as well. And the different title tags that this website's having or has. Now, one of the things we want to look at is, are these title tags different enough, but also being targeted to be topically relevant? Now, what does that mean? So if you ever hear the word, or the phrase topical seeding or topical relevancy, you need to know that a website is usually ranked based as an entity. So if one page is ranking, it's also probably ranking based on what else is ranking on that site. So that's why authority is so important. So if we look at, I don't know, let's say an insurance site. Now, if that insurance site is ranking for insurance, and then it starts trying to rank articles that are about, let's say, SEO or computer repair, would that make sense? Probably not. So you could still rank other articles, but generally it's easier to rank all websites that are already authorities around a certain niche. So that being said, you do want to make sure that your keywords are very close variations of your main keyword, but without them being too similar. So if we look at Santa Barbara Mac repair, Santa Barbara laptop repair, Santa Barbara home network installation, of course we have Santa Barbara in all the titles, but that's because Santa Barbara is where the location is. So locally, it makes sense to continually mention that keyword. Now, if you were only trying to rank for Santa Barbara and it was just that keyword and you were just putting Santa Barbara in all the titles, it wouldn't make sense because all of the pages on your website are going to be competing with each other. So what's going to end up happening is something called cannibalization, where one page will cannibalize the other. And you'll see this a lot where people end up, trying to rank sites, but they only have one web page ranking because everything looks too similar and Google doesn't know which one to rank. And then you look at their search console and some pages are ranking some days, other pages are ranking other days. It's because they're too similar. So there's ways around that. You can use things like canonical tags. You can use 301 redirects, whatever you want to do. But that starts getting into a little bit more technical SEO, which right now we don't want to cover because we don't want to confuse people too much. Not that you guys aren't easily confused or are easily confused. Some of you guys who are watching this may already know a ton about this stuff. So if you think I'm trying to downplay you, I'm totally not. Just trying to give you, trying to cover everything right now for beginners, also people who are already know a little bit or are advanced at SEO. So that being said, when we look at this stuff, we do want to have different keyword targeting within our location. So Santa Barbara home network installation and Santa Barbara laptop repair are different enough so that we're not cannibalizing anything. Now, if it was Santa Barbara laptop repair and then Santa Barbara, personal laptop repair, those are so similar that you probably have the same intent there. People who are looking for personal laptop repair and then also laptop repair are probably the same, same sort of intent. You'll probably get the same search result. So if you're internally linking to both these pages, say for instance, you had a service, main services, and you internal link to the personal one, and then also the regular laptop repair, well, what's going to end up happening is you're going to be confusing Google with what page should actually rank. Also, you're going to be confusing people. So in order to get away from that, you either combine those pages, or if it's absolutely necessary to keep both and it's the same intent, and maybe it looks like the same intent, but it's not, and you really need to have both of those for the UX purpose, then you would point a canonical tag from one page to the other to say that that page is about that page. Don't rank this other page. Either way, we'll talk about more about that later. So title tags, that's one of the things to consider around that. One of the other things is that, having qualifiers within your title tags, enticing click-through rates by mentioning, look, 375 5-star ratings, putting that in your title tag is going to help increase your click-through rates generally. Another thing that will generally increase your click-through rates is if you have brackets in between your modifiers. So say, for instance, you do computer repair, and then you do these little brackets like that, 5-star reviews. That generally entices clicks for some reason, just by having, it makes the search results stand out a little bit. Title lengths, something else to consider, how long the titles are. I'm not going to cover all this stuff, but you guys get sort of the point. Next, we have the internal linking like we're talking about. So I generally recommend 2 to 3, and you can do more than this, 3 to 4 internal links per page. Always making sure you're mentioning homepage, and also, or at least most of the time, making sure you're mentioning the homepage, and also making sure your most important links are towards the top. I think I spelled towards wrong, whatever. So what does that mean? It means that the higher up your links are, generally they will pass more influence. Also, the less links you have, generally more influence is passed. So you can see here they have about 1 external link, 2 internal links here, an internal link there, and an internal link there. So if we actually look at their internal link structure, what's linking to what, generally these will actually follow what you're actually seeing here. So top level pages will be linking to other top level pages. Service area pages will generally be linking to other service area pages, as well as usually the level up from there. So it really makes sense when you think about that. Would you think that a blog post would generally be linking to a, let's say, virus removal in a related location? Probably not, because that doesn't really make sense. Why does that not make sense? Because generally a blog post would probably be referencing other blog posts, maybe the homepage or the brand, or maybe a specific computer repair service, but generally not something that's a location. The point that I'm trying to make is that when you're doing internal linking, you don't have to overcomplicate it, but you also don't have to undercomplicate it. So meaning that don't just link to things just because you want to link to them and you want to rank that page, but also don't link to things because, you think that it makes sense because for whatever reason. I don't know why it would make sense. It depends on the situation that you're in, but generally, if you're going to be linking, you're going to be linking to the most helpful information based on what people are generally looking for. So if you understand what people are looking for, say, for instance, they're hitting a home page and your most popular service is virus removal, then why wouldn't you try to link to that? Also, if they hit a page, like say, for instance, virus removal or a computer repair service, you want to mention other related services. You want to be probably mentioning the brand. So that's what I do with like the iPhone repair or the moving company. What I did is I spent a bunch of time internally linking from other related pages to the home page with either the brand being the anchor text or the thing I'm trying to rank. If that doesn't make sense, the pages that you're trying to rank, generally, if you're trying to link to a top level page like a contact page or an about page or the home page, you can just use what that page is. So, here at iPhone Repair Santa Barbara, obviously that's, the anchor text that would be targeting the home page, which is the exact match for the keywords as well. So the brand has been made as the keywords, which is sort of a way that you can, make it easier. Or if it's, say, for instance, authority nuke, like this website that we were ranking, we could either link back with the services saying authority nuke. Say, for instance, we went from conversion rate optimization back to Authority Nuke as the homepage, or we could try to rank it as here at SEO Santa Barbara if we wanted to try to brand the homepage as that. If it sounds confusing, it is a little bit, but the two things you want to know is that you are not trying to internally link to pages that are going to be targeting keywords as other pages would be targeting. So you're only doing internal links with the correct anchor text of what those keywords are actually trying to rank for, or what those pages actually are. So, you know, contact us here. That's a contact page. You wouldn't be linking that to an about page. It wouldn't make sense. Or about us. You wouldn't be linking that to the home page because that's the about us page. And if you guys are wondering whether or not you need an about us page or a contact page or, you know, terms of service, most sites benefit from having basic pages so remember how I was saying earlier there's entities? When you look at websites, generally if you're looking at an entity that's ranking really well, they will have basic information because Google looks for that stuff. So Google will generally look for local, they'll usually look for a home page, a contact page, a testimonials page, privacy policy, whatever else. Why? Because that's what sites are ranking for, or that's what sites have that are ranking really well, because people generally like that sort of thing. They like to be able to see that they can contact the business. They like to be able to see that there is an address. So really what you do, if you forget a lot of what I'm saying, is just figure out what you're trying to rank for locally. Go over and search for something in your industry. Search for, you know, say it's massages. Say, look up, you know, location massages. Look at the top ranking website. Usually that website will have a contact page. It'll have an about page. It'll have its address. It'll have some reviews somewhere. It'll also be mentioning certain information and certain content on the pages that it's ranking. So the home page will generally have, you know, say for instance, for the first 10 results, around 500 words or whatever. If you want to figure out what the intent is or what, you know, websites are ranking for really easily based on all the different, you know, things like word count, you know, schema markup, all that kind of stuff, you could run something like Cora. Cora by SEO Tool Lab, which I do have a discount code for as well. And what Cora does is it scans all of the most common occurring factors within the first 100 results, first 10 results, whatever, and then tells you what all these different pages have. It's really awesome, mainly because you can just quickly see, okay, say for instance I wanted to rank for SEO, just the keyword SEO. I would type in SEO, I would then do a scan, look up the Excel file, and I would see that everything that's ranking on the first 10 results for SEO has 3,000 words. I would also see that they all mention the same keywords or variation keywords in the title tags, and so on and so on. So what I'm doing is I'm taking out the confusion of, oh, should I write this, or should I optimize for this, or should I do this? And I'm just looking at what is already ranking and then optimizing for that intent. So without boring you guys about that, we will, you know, cover Cora and stuff like that later on, but just know that there is easier ways to do this and try to remember everything I'm saying. Let me just look at some questions really quick. We got Hydra says, what do you recommend for the number of keywords on page and LSI? So, you know, it depends on the intent. In terms of LSI, you know, latent semantic indexing, you know, related keywords, semantically related keywords, that's what that's about. It really depends. So, you know, I'm going to be talking about that in a second, you know, having hyper relevant data, but it doesn't really have to do as much with LSI. It has to do more with figuring out user intent and then optimizing that with whatever it takes. So we'll talk about that in a second. Renudge says, can we rank more than one keyword on one page? If yes, how? Also depends on the intent. It also depends on what's already ranking. The easiest way to figure that out is to look up a page that's probably ranking really well for the keywords that you're ranking for and see if it's ranking for other related keywords. Ahrefs did a study where they're able to rank for like one page for like 800 keywords or something. So yeah. Still Frenton says, Ayo, Chase, what's up? Douglas says, I have a client that ranks in the 3-pack for drywall contractor, Palm Harbor, but not drywall Palm Harbor, not even listed in Google Places. What's with that? I'd have to look at it. So with anything that you're doing, you need to do an audit. So stick around for the next episodes. We'll be talking about how to do audits, how to, you know, troubleshoot stuff like that. Okay, so we talked about internal link building. Hyper-relevant data is the next part we're going to talk about, which is sort of what the LSI question was about. So when you are doing SEO and you want to rank for anything, as we always say, and we keep repeating, or as I've been saying, you want to look up what the hell you're optimizing for. So if I want to rank for something like, say, Maryland search engine optimization, I always use this as a reference. So this is a keyword or a search phrase that apparently has over 2,000 monthly searches. So if I copy this and I look at the traffic and Ahrefs, sign in. What we're going to see here is it says organic keywords 14, 162 organic traffic. Apparently that went down. That's weird. Let me look at SEMrush. The traffic estimator for Ahrefs and SEMrush seems a lot different. Seriously, you can't even do one search per day anymore? Okay, well, either way. Let's just say it's 162. So we'll just look at these right here. So Maryland SEO, #1, all these different ones, #1. Now, this is with a basically blank website. So this was the old computer repair site. I was able to rank for this with barely anything. You can see it's just text. That's pretty much it. And, it's just one page. So, and this is competing with, websites, like entire entities that are ranking for stuff around these keywords. So that being said, how did this happen? There was no black hat SEO. There was no link building. The way I was able to do this is I took hyper-specific data around two main things, around SEO and around the location. And then I optimized for that. So what are people looking for around SEO? They're looking for the keyword search engine optimization. We're talking about keyword research, analyzing data, so on and so on. What are people looking at around Maryland? They're looking for, where the location is, some agreeable facts that you could be stating from Wikipedia, so on and so on. And the same thing happens with the computer repair stuff. If you look here, the homepage, they're mentioning related locations, they're mentioning related services, they're mentioning whatever else. So the best way to rank for things, not just locally, but in pretty much any niche, is to find hyper-relevant data around what you're optimizing for, and then including that in your copy. Whether or not that's LSI, I don't think it really has anything to do with it. I think it has to do with mentioning things that are relevant to what people are searching for around certain topics. So next we have media, images, video. Generally, I have found it easier to rank for things if I'm optimizing for intent with media as well. It generally improves the time spent on page. It reduces the bounce rates, and it also usually improves the conversions. People like to contact people who are real people, and it also makes it really easy to create natural language within a site. What I do is I will actually take a video, and then I will transcribe that into the website and then rank that content. It takes about 5 minutes to start talking about any subject, get it transcribed, and then get it formatted into a landing page. And then you get video and text as well. So you can see here, I just talk about whatever. And then on the other pages as well, same thing. I take all the keywords after doing the keyword research. I talk about those said keywords. So say, for instance, I know that conversion rate could be a search term that people are looking for local services. Say, for instance, somebody's looking for conversion rate optimization in Santa Barbara. And even if that's only 10 monthly searches, still worth going for, because then you create the topical relevancy you are talking about. It also helps you with the internal link silos, helps you create the entity-based ranking website, all the stuff we're talking about. So like I said, I do the keyword research, which we will be covering maybe next episode. I figure out what the keywords are I want to rank for. I put them all on a piece of paper. Then I just basically stand in front of the camera and I go, hi, my name is Chase. Here at Authority Nuke, I do conversion rate optimization. This is what I do for it. step one, I make sure to, and then I just talk about what I already know about that subject. Then I just get it transcribed on Fiverr. It costs about $5, and boom, now I have like a 500-word post that's it's easy to rank. Now I'll even recommend this for clients as well. If we get a client and I know they don't have enough content, which most of them don't usually have, I say, hey, look, if you just come into the recording studio, we record 5 or 10 videos for you. We transcribe it, edit it, put it on the website. Now you're able to rank on YouTube as well. There's a ton of benefits. Video is becoming more and more important, and it also lets you gives you the ability to be able to make ads as well. So there's a ton of stuff that you can do with it, but generally, if you just do it to make content just for organic, it makes it a lot easier than hiring a writer or having the client do it, that kind of thing. So you go on Fiverr afterwards, look up transcription service, and then you go ahead and buy that. I don't know why that didn't show up. And it's like $5. Cool. So next we have images, of course, making sure that those are compressed. Page speed. We'll talk about page speed optimization at a later time, but obviously it's important to have a fast website, fast hosting. Name, address, phone number, and hours, including those, pretty obvious. And then schema markup as well. I think we're going to be covering more schema markup at a later time because this episode is already becoming very long. So next we have, let me just put this in here so we can plug that in. Obviously, it's important to have content on a YouTube video as well to be able to rank your YouTube videos. One of the things that's really important, I just want to put out there, guys, it's kind of off topic, but some people get stuck into being SEOs when they just think about it from Google. So it doesn't really matter where you get your traffic. It just matters that you understand a couple concepts. One of which is don't compete in an area that's extremely oversaturated unless you're an authority. So YouTube right now is still not that saturated. You could easily compete with me. And I tell people this all the time. I don't know why they don't do it. And start ranking for stuff and getting clients. There's certain ways that are going to be easier than others. Like I wouldn't try to outrank backlinko right now for just the word SEO. It's very difficult to do. That's what I'm actually trying to do with this guide. I'm trying to rank, outrank everybody for the keywords just SEO by having this complete guide, because I've found that that's what the user intent is to find around SEO. But what I'm trying to say is that if you're brand new, don't go for say for instance, you're in weight loss and you're trying to rank for that keyword right off the bat on Google. It might be profitable as well to try to go rank for long tail keywords of weight loss around YouTube. I mean, that's an overall very competitive industry, but it took me a year before I got on YouTube, or 2 years before I got on YouTube. I was doing blog posting, I was doing podcasting, and I was going for what I thought would work versus what I knew would work. And the way I found out what I knew would work is I just looked at what other people were already doing, and I looked at where the opportunities are around that based on what people actually want to see. So I knew that a lot of people wanted to see live streaming of SEO tutorials, but there was nothing out there. And the way I figured that out is I just started, doing research on it. I started looking at, what do people care about? And where is there not enough of this information? If I publish an article on link building and I'm brand new, most people will not care. People want to see how to do link building from people who are extremely good at link building. They don't want to see the top 5 ways to build links in 2018. Some people do, but most people don't. So I'm just putting that out there. I could spend a lot of time trying to rank on Google, which I probably will end up doing very soon. But if I were to start out over, I would be doing the same thing. It would be on YouTube, because I know that there's a huge lack in what we're doing here. So, okay, so next we got, scroll down. Here we go. Competitor research. So competitor research, obviously very important. If you're going to be, ranking things, as we keep talking about, you want to rank based off intent. So one of the ways is to use Quora. Another way is to use something like Ahrefs. and, export keywords. Now we will be covering how to do this stuff within our SEO audit template, and how to use the template to actually export keywords. But just know that you can, for the moment, just know before we get into it, that you can export keywords, you can export links, you can get all the information that you need to have in order to rank websites without trying to figure out the intent based off no prior knowledge. It's a lot harder to do. So what people generally do is they'll just go to something like KW Finder or go to Keyword Planner, and they'll just look for a keyword like SEO Santa Barbara, and they'll go, oh my God, there's 200 searches for this a month, and it's worth like $10. Obviously this says it's not worth $10, but even for something like web design, which is $7.58, if we look up web design, which we are also ranking for, I can tell you that it's not worth that because not a lot of people convert off of that. I think this is the one. Is this the one? Oh, that's funny. This is somebody new. Unless that's us. I don't know. I think. Oh, no, this is it. Either way. When we were ranking number one for it, we were not bringing in that much money from it. So what I'm trying to say is that, it's more important to look at the, what people are obviously getting traffic for and making money for based on, extracting their keywords, extracting their information, than trying to just go and look for a keyword that has search rate, but you have no idea whether or not, that's going to be profitable and whether or not that's going to be something even worth optimizing for. So we will be covering, like I said, in a later series, how to actually export user data, how to use the audit to do a keyword research audit, and all that good stuff. But for the moment, we're going to skip it. So URL structure, local schema markup, attracting local clients. So what I'm actually going to do, and the reason why I want to skip a lot of this stuff right now is because, this is becoming a very long video. We're already at 50 minutes, and there's a lot more we need to cover. So I think that's a good starting place. We covered the different ranking factors for local. Part 3 will be this other stuff, and then we will start getting into audits, start going into national SEO, start going into how to get SEO clients, that kind of stuff. So hope you guys enjoyed this series. If you want to ask questions, do so now before I get off. And if you haven't, gone to getfreeupdates.com yet, do that so I can notify you when I go live, which I should have done today. I do apologize for people who did press the get notified button, but I will push this out after this. And if you want any of the paid courses that I have that kind of go, step by step, you want to learn all this stuff right now, not wait for the future videos. I have a course going through how I rank the Authority Nuke site and showing how I did the video setup and all the stuff you're going to need to know for local. I also have a national SEO course. All you have to do is just go to SEO courses. If you want to get all the courses, just go to Nexus Bundle, get all the courses right now for $9.97, whatever you want to do. So let's answer a few questions and we'll sign off. So would you consider, sorry, let me get this. I've summarized, great idea for the content with transcription, thanks. Do you do it as a page or a post? You can do both. So pages I generally did with the Authority Nuke site, but you can do it with anything. Post, you could make it into a video or, sorry, news article. I mean, posts and pages are really the same, the only two things really on a website. Would you consider Bluehost okay for hosting speed-wise? I haven't really used Bluehost. I use SiteGround. That's who I'd recommend, or WP Engine. That's a great site. I like SiteGround the most. Out of all the different hostings I've used, or hosting sites, I use SiteGround. Yeah, so it looks like Doug said the same thing. What is the best way to find do follow and no follow links for your site, of your website? I think Ahrefs works really well for link data. I think they're one of the best. I had a complete subscription to this that was sponsored, but I have to go contact them apparently because I think it ran out. They check my how well I'm promoting them every freaking 6 months, so I have to go do that. But Ahrefs is really good for link data, probably the best in my opinion. Sorry, I'm going back over here. And what should be the ratio for do follow and no follow? So, sorry guys, I can't give you link advice. I'm not somebody who's spends a lot of time doing link building. I am thinking about getting a few people on here for interviews who are really good at link building, so I think that would be cool to, sort of set up as interviews, so you guys can ask those type of questions. But I don't do link building, and it's not because I don't think links are a ranking factor. It's just because I think that they're a liability, and I really don't think that they show value to people. And I'd rather be doing things, even if it's just going straight into market, like physical marketing, I would rather do that than build links, which I know at the end of the day do not actually provide any value. Unless they're like referral links where one site's mentioning another, which is actually helping people. But other than that, you know. Okay, so that's it, guys. That's part 2, the local SEO. Let me know what you think in the comments, and leave a like if you like this series and you want to see more videos like this. Lastly, if you want to support these videos and me and see more stuff like this in the future, as well as get all of my templates and all of my previous webinars, which are not on my YouTube channel, as well as future webinars, join the mastermind group. It's only $49 a month. You get to support me, you get to support the videos, you get to support a lot of great stuff, and get private content, you know, templates, all that kind of stuff. So cool. All right, guys, thanks for sticking around, and until I see y'all next time, happy SEOing.